Hey guys, so filming 2 videos today because there's just a lot happening, so then I have 2 days worth of content on one piece of makeup. How lovely is that? Subscribe, that bell, like, comment for engagement. That intro literally doesn't make sense because I'm posting the second video I filmed first and the first video second. So this intro made no sense, but just so you know, there's going to be 2 videos with the same makeup on. Also, I have a beauty channel, book channel, where I have my book tour, like my bookshelf tour that you guys wanted, that's not in the background right now, and a podcast where I've posted 2 podcast episodes right now with a special guest. So all of that will be a description along with anything else you might need to find, and let's just get into it. So we have, recently I talked about David Dobrik and Jeff Wittek. So obviously last year, where do I even start with that? So David Dobrik was cancelled for a lot of different things. Cancelled. He's still fine. He's still getting like 5 million views a video. That's not cancelled. That is just lower views than normal, but it's still very good views. He was cancelled because of just endangering people in his videos. You know, you have treating people like objects, for example, Corinna Kopf, pushing her out of her limits and her boundaries for content. Then we have Jeff Wittek, who was injured on the excavator. Obviously they went out onto a lake. David was swinging the excavator around on like a swing, and Jeff ended up smacking into the excavator because David was going too quickly, and then it stopped abruptly and he almost died. And then now he's had like 10 surgeries. He will continue to have surgeries for the rest of his life, but that's it. I will get back to that in a minute. Then we obviously have the Dirty Dom situation, which there was a whole insider article written about it, endangering underage girls. You know, just a lot happened. And recently, David Dobrik was featured in a Casey Neistat documentary where he basically blamed the whole thing on Jeff Wittek with the excavator. And Casey Neistat actually reached out to Jeff and said, hey, I'll play you the bit that, you know, where David talks about what happened, just so you're not blindsided by it. And Jeff said it was all a lie. And he's posted podcast episodes basically just debunking all of David's lies and talking about how he's now in debt because David was trying to skimp out on like the cheapest insurance company, and they're failing to pay off the like surgery debt, that, you know, costs. Jeff's credit score is now hit. David has also made Jeff wait until a sponsor comes through to pay off his surgeries, when it's literally David's fault that Jeff needs these surgeries to begin with. And it's not like David is running on no money. He literally paid like 10 million for his mansion. I'm sure he's fine. David posted he's got like a podcast called Views, and he posted an episode with Natalie and Jason basically talking about the whole situation, and at no point does he actually like show remorse. This was the worst day in my life, and he laughs a lot and he tries to downplay a lot of situations but never really takes full responsibility for things. Like he does, but you can tell that he doesn't really want to, and it's not like, oh my god, I'm so sorry Jeff, like this is all my fault, my bad. I'm assuming also legal action. Probably he's trying to avoid legal action, and if he admits on camera that it is all his fault, Jeff has every right to sue him. And on that note, Jeff Wittek is actually suing David Dobrik. So Jeff mentioned this in one of his recent podcast episodes. He just kind of hinted at it a little bit, so I'll play that bit for you guys.
Wednesday morning, Oscar sent me some stuff that was like exactly how I remembered it, and I was like, okay, I didn't hit my head that hard. I'm just gonna like send off all this stuff that we got to the lawyers and let them deal with it in court. And I'm just gonna go back to making goofy, silly videos with my right-hand man right here.
And then recently Jeff went on the Raw Talk podcast, I can't get that phrase out properly, where he talked about how the lawsuit is going ahead, how he's done talking about it publicly. You know, it hurts him to talk about it, but he feels like the lawsuit is the only way to get out of this situation and for David to actually experience some consequences to his actions.
Let me ask then, what's the deal right now with David?
I mean,
what can you say?
We're not really talking, you know. I felt really pissed off just hearing the stuff he said. Imagine somebody does something to you like that and then kind of puts out a video where they blame you the whole time and then throw you a little sorry this happened to you at the end of it. That really set me off. So I was like, all right, this guy's never going to learn. I guess I'll just talk to some lawyers, see what they think, let them handle it, take it, because I can't have this stress in my life. If I want to come on camera and be funny and
so is it becoming like a real legal thing?
Yeah, and it takes a lot of your energy out. You know, it'll put you in a bad mood when you have to get on the phone with a lawyer and go over an accident video that you regret, and you gotta watch it 100 times over and over again.
Oscar, like one of his friends, has given him more content of the day, like more filmed content from behind the scenes of the day that confirms a lot of what Jeff said, but obviously he can't show it to us because it's now an active lawsuit. And recently David posted another Views episode where he talked about how he didn't realize how influential his videos were, and then recently he went back and he saw that some of them have like 30 and 40 million views, and he just didn't realize how much he influenced like minors, which is so stupid, because obviously to be that successful you have to know the algorithm and you have to know the stats and you have to know how well you're doing. So for him to just now be like, oh my god, I was actually so influential, No way. You're lying. You're lying. And actually there was another podcast episode where he talked about wanting to quit YouTube. So I don't really know what's going on, but he's still posting vlogs, and he has just now realized how influential he was. So the reckless things he did, how that affected his underage audience. Great. We also have Shane and Ryland. So they recently posted a vlog on Ryland's vlog channel about how they're trying for a baby, and they talked about, you know, how they picked out an egg donor and how they're doing, you know, the whole thing. And recently Ryland talked about the whole situation on his podcast, and people thought it was just very like a strange way to talk about it. He basically said how it's, you know, a lot of work to figure everything out, you know, replying to emails and letters and trying to get everything finalized. And he said it's basically like having another podcast. Recently I watched Def Noodles cover this, and he said how, you know, a podcast episode, they post it once a week, so they're, you know, filming once a week, and then they have an editor to edit it, and then they have someone to make a thumbnail, and then they post it. Like, being a parent is definitely not a 1 day a week kind of a job. So if Ryland is expecting parenthood to be a 1 day a week kind of a, because he seems to compare it to the podcast a little bit, and I'm just making sure that he knows that it is way more than that. A kid is 24/7, 7 days a week for at least 18 years.
There's a million meetings in this trying to have a kid process, because there's a million different people that are involved. So it's like, it has been chaotic, and it feels honestly like a full-time job with the amount of emails and people involved and trying to schedule. It feels like I've added another podcast on top of the podcast.
Yeah. It's not going to be like the podcast. It's going to be a lot worse than the podcast. And people overall just had reactions to the pregnancy announcement. Obviously I didn't talk about that much in my last video because it was just like the announcement. But now that I've seen it kind of break down on the internet, there are tweets with hundreds of thousands of likes just being like, can I call CPS on a child that isn't born yet? Someone said whoever okayed Shane Dawson having a baby should rethink their life. Offing yourself right now is probably the biggest gamble. You either come back as Rihanna's baby or Shane Dawson's baby. Two very different reincarnations. Someone said, yes, so apparently Shane Dawson is having a baby. I mean, you guys are letting this guy have a baby. The same guy that joked about having watched CP. Yeah, nah. Like, I think people are forgetting just the amount of jokes Shane Dawson made about children. But, you know. So that happened. I feel like people are very, you know, some of his fans are obviously very happy, but some people are very upset about Shane Dawson having a baby. So the last story for today is James Charles, which this story just, wow. He was invited to the Grammys, which were in Vegas, and Addison Rae came along too, and people had to go at her for coming, which at least she doesn't message her young fans from what we know. She's a bit, you know, but you know, and she was there because her boyfriend was nominated for a Grammy, so that makes sense. But James Charles was invited, and let's just talk about who made this executive decision, because he did admit to messaging his underage fans. Like, he did admit to that in his now deleted apology video. So who made this executive decision? But that is besides the point. He actually recently had the nerve to complain about having to spend money on a overweight suitcase. Let's get into it. So he was at the airport, and obviously he came up to the bit where you know, weigh your suitcase, and ended up being over the weight limit, and they said, you know, you can pay $100 or you can get rid of the stuff. And he said, why don't you just pull the strings for me this one time? Like, how about you just let me go this one time? And he admitted this on camera.
Something that I simply just did not understand is how, as a society, we have agreed to just let airlines get away with scamming people. So I'm at the airport checking in for my flight, as per usual, and I put my bag on the scale before checking in. She goes, ooh, sorry, babe, it's 51 pounds, it's gonna be $100. I said, you can't just let it slide, please? She goes, no, sorry, it's overweight, you're gonna have to pay $100 or take something out. I said, absolutely not am I paying $100 for this. So I unzipped my bag, I removed one pair of socks, one sole pair of socks, and a straightening iron. Zip it back up, put it back on the scale, magically 49 pounds. I need my scale at home to lie to me like that, because that is some bull. I could understand if it was like a gravity thing and they're like, oh, the bags are too heavy, so the plane is literally going to fall out of the sky. Like, obviously we don't want that to happen, but how could it be a gravity thing if the bags are still going on the plane? They're just below the plane as opposed to in the overhead compartment. It's still equally as heavy. It's not gonna tip over. Like, what the
I can't believe he did the typical, I'm James Charles, don't you think you should let me off just this one time? Who do you think you are? Anyway, he said he literally removed a pair of socks and some hair straighteners, and it was fine. Yep, that's all they wanted you to do. That's it. She did what they asked you to do. So that happened. And then he filmed that TikTok, and people replied being like, well, first of all, it's all about weight distribution. So when they make you move things from one suitcase to the other, it's so that all the weight isn't in one area and it's evenly distributed across the plane, because it helps it obviously stay stable. 2, apparently the people that move your suitcases are insured up to a certain amount of lifting weight. After that, they have to be insured differently. Let's say you have 2 suitcases, one that weighs 15 kilograms and one that weighs 5. If you make them both 10, then someone can lift each suitcase individually, but they are only insured up to 10 kilograms. So they can lift the 5 one, but they can't lift the 15 one without, if they get injured, the insurance won't cover it because they were lifting something that was too heavy for the insurance. So if you have one that's 15 and one 5, but you move the 5 from here to here, then now both 10 kilograms each, and the people are legally allowed to lift them. But if you have one suitcase that's 15 and one that's 5, they're allowed to lift this one, but not this one, and it causes issues in the workplace. So a lot of people are talking about it from behind the scenes, just saying, these are the rules, just follow them. And also people were then commenting being like, this is $100 and you're a multi-millionaire. Why are you complaining when there are people that are actually struggling that then have to pay this? And they can't do the whole, I'm James Charles, let me off just this one time. So people are just pissed at James Charles for just the complete privilege and lack of, I guess, awareness of just everyday life. Not everyone can just walk up and be like, can you pull some strings just this one time? Oh my God, he really just hit them with the Karen. Can you just pull the strings for me just this one time? Yeah, because I'm not going to pay the $100. Oh, I can just hear the Karen voice coming out from him. That is it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, comment down below, anything to comment down below, and subscribe, hit that bell, like, comment for engagement, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye guys.